Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be going over, in my opinion, the 2 or 3 best subclasses for the Titan. This is for new players who are looking to survive more in missions, strikes, and nightfalls. This is basically to help new players learn and understand the basics of the subclasses, the strengths, the weaknesses, what you can do with it. For this video, we're going to be leaving all the weapons, and for the majority of the armor out of it, especially the exotics, because new players may not have access to certain exotics just yet. This is supposed to be a middle-of-the-road build for players that are looking to survive a little bit more, playing their activities, whether it be their strikes, story missions, nightfalls, even if they tiptoe into the endgame content of raids. This is to help them survive a little bit more and get the most mileage out of their kit. So, to start off, we're going to go over the solar subclass. In my opinion, one of the best subclasses available for Titan for survivability. Let's go over the aspects here. We have 2 here. The first one is Roaring Flames. Final blows with solar abilities or ignitions increase the damage of your solar abilities. Stacks up to 3 times. This is really good for when it comes to dealing damage out with solar grenades, or in this case, our throwing hammer. There are 2 melee abilities available. You have a throwing hammer, which is what's highly recommended here. Is if you see throwing a hammer from a distance, picking it up, fully recharges your melee ability. If the hammer strikes a target, it grants you Cure. Now that Cure allows you to gain health back, especially useful for high-end content. You also have the Hammer Strike here. All it is just basically your shoulder charge. You run towards something, you whack them. They can either explode or they'll take a lot of damage. We got Soul Invictus, solar ability final blows, hammer soul impact, and defeating scorched targets creates sunspots. Your abilities regenerate faster and your super drains more slowly while standing in a sunspot. Sunspots apply scorched and deal damage to targets inside. Entering a sunspot applies restoration. Now that's the important part right there, is restoration. So upon getting a final blow with a solar grenade or your hammer, what will happen is a little fire, it looks like a pool of fire, will spawn on the ground. If you run through it or you stand in it, you will get restoration. What restoration is, it will start your health regeneration over time. This only lasts a few seconds, but it is very useful when it comes to trying to stay alive. Down here we have multiple fragments to choose from. The fragments I went through, this is an older build that I was using a few seasons ago. I haven't been playing my Titan too much on the solar side, but mainly focusing on the void side, which we will get to soon. So all of my fragments here have to deal with blowing things up. Essentially, we were trying to stack as much scorch as possible to gather ignitions. Basically, at the time when this class was really good, it was a very, very good ad clearing setup. It still does have its perks. So let's go over some of the fragments I have on the spot here. We have Ember of Char. Your solar ignitions spread scorch to affected targets. You have Ashes. You apply more scorch to stacks to targets. Blistering. Defeating targets with solar ignitions grant grenade energy. And we have Eruption. Your solar ignitions have an increased area effect. Now, when it comes to these fragments, Ember Blistering is really good because granting grenade energy with ignition is very useful, especially when you were running a nade, like, for example, the healing grenade. The healing grenade is extremely good. You can throw it at teammates, you can throw it at yourself, your health begins to regenerate. It's very, very useful for staying alive. If you feel that you don't need a healing grenade, like, you can always use something. I use fusion grenades. Incendiary grenades are really good. Solar grenades are good. So you have a plethora of grenades here that you can use. I've been using fusion grenades with the Ashen Wake exotic gauntlets. But as I stated, healing grenades, you can use those. You use Ember Blistering, you get that grenade energy on an ignition. You have a better, more healing grenades to throw. Also, you can also stack with these fusion grenades. There's a thing here. I believe it is not torches. I think it's on the other page here. No, it is not on the other page. I have to find it. Ah, yes, here it is. I don't have it unlocked on this character just yet. Ember Resolve. So if you get a grenade kill, you will get a small portion of health back when that kill goes through. It's very useful for staying alive. You know, if you're getting really low on health and you kind of don't have much in terms of bullets to kill an enemy or what have you, just throw a grenade at the ground. If it kills the enemy, you'll get some health back. It ain't going to start health regeneration, it just applies a small portion of your health back. Moving over to the armor, you want to try to get as close to 10 resilience as possible. Now, as you're going through your levels, this is not something you really want to worry about, everything over here. But one thing I do recommend is at least upgrading your armor to at least energy 4, so you can put a resilience mod. Because resilience here also reduce the amount of damage that you take. So at tier 10 it's 30, and as it goes down tier 9, 8, 7, 6, there will be you'll be able to take a lot less damage. You can see I'm using a Phoenix Cradle. If you happen to have this exotic in your arsenal, this is a really good exotic. It's very support heavy. Your Soul Invictus lasts twice as long. If you have teammates who are struggling to survive and they happen to run through your sunspot, they are also granted Soul Invictus and Restoration. So they can also regenerate their health. Another really good one that like I said, I've been using earlier was Ashen Wake. With Ashen Wake, your fusion grenade is shown here. Your fusion grenade, when you normally use it, it will stick to the target and then explode. The Ashen Wake exotic basically turns them into instant impact detonation grenades. And you do get grenade energy back. Let's get away from that. See, we'll read the exotic perk. Fusion grenades now explode on impact and gain increased throw speed. Final blows with fusion grenades grant grenade energy. All this synergizes well with any gun with Demolitionist. I'm not sure if I have one on my character as of right now. I don't think I do. It doesn't look like it. But any gun here with Demolitionist pairs really, really well with that. If you happen to come across one in the wild, do not dismantle it. Hold on to it, as it'll be very beneficial. As Demolitionist, what that perk does is it allows you per kill to get a small portion of your grenade energy back. So pair that with your fusion grenades or your healing grenades, depending on whatever grenade you want to use. And if you're also using Ember Resolve, it is very useful. Now, moving on to Void. The Void subclass is really, really good. What makes it really good is the Ward of Dawn. Create an indestructible dome that protects you and your allies. Passing through the Ward of Dawn grants you and your allies a temporary increase to weapon damage. That is called Weapons of Light. I believe it is a 20% damage bonus. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, and I don't have my notes right next to me to ensure that. So, with Void, there's a few excellent things about its kit that makes it really good for survivability. Like I said, the super is really good. The aspects are also extremely good. What I have here is actually a PvP setup. And the Sentinel Shield, the Void subclass can go hand in hand with PvE and PvP. So we'll start here with Controlled Demolition. Hitting a target with a void ability or volatile explosion makes them volatile. Further damage to volatile target causes them to explode. Grants you and nearby allies health when volatile targets explode near you. It's a very useful perk. It's very useful for clearing out rooms. If you have a few targets that are volatile and you kill that one target, they explode, they spread the volatile to other targets, continue that chain. If you're nearby them, you'll get some health back. Volatile is also good when it comes to piercing barrier champions. If you have your volatile rounds procced, you can use that to your advantage. Over here we got Bastion. Cast your super to grant overshield to nearby allies. Also, casting your barricade grants overshield to yourself and any allies that are nearby it, enabling to slowly regenerate the overshield of allies bunkering behind it and extend their overshield duration. Now, the overshield is 10 seconds long, and that overshield will slowly regenerate. Once you throw your shield down, it'll spawn up and get 10 seconds. You can run around, get some kills, what have you. You run out of that, you run that overshield down, you start losing some health, you can go back behind your barricade you just thrown up, and you get that overshield right back. It's very, very useful. The other thing that you can use is Offensive Bulwark. I usually use this in PvE. While you have an overshield or are inside a ward dawn, your grenade charge is significantly faster. You have increased melee range and damage, and melee final blows extend the duration of your overshield. You gain an additional shield throw while in Sentinel Shield. Now, one thing they don't tell you is with your shield throw, if you throw it and you hit an enemy, you get a small overshield. It's just a small little bit of an overshield. It could be the difference between life and death there. Hurl your void shield throw towards the target. The shield can ricochet off targets and surface, granting overshield for each target hit. So if you hit one target, it's a little bit. If you hit a lot of targets, you might get a full overshield. Moving on to the fragments. Echo of Leeching. Melee final blow start health regeneration near for you and nearby allies. Very useful. Titans do like to punch a lot, so if you have if you're nearby something, you just need to punch them. They're weak and you can kill them with the punch. You'll get a little health back. Exchange. Echo of Exchange. Melee final blows grant grenade energy. That goes hand in hand with whatever grenade you're using. Typically I use the scatter grenade for PvE. I have Axiom Darts on for PvP right now. Scatter grenades are really good, especially with controlled demolition, because those grenades are a lot stronger and they can wipe out a good chunk of enemies. Expulsion. Void ability final blows cause targets to explode. Now this works hand in hand with the volatile that I was discussing earlier. So if you kill something with a grenade, you gotta basically get the doubled explosion. You get the initial explosion of the grenade going off, and then the target will explode again, spreading volatile to nearby targets. And then I have Vigilance here. This is this one's kind of a mixed bag for me. It's really good in PvP. In PvE, I haven't really used it too much, but defeating a target while your shields are depleted grants you a temporary void overshield. Now this void overshield is weaker than the one you'd find for your Bastion, but it can be the difference between life and death. Now usually when it says your shields are depleted, what that usually means is when your health is in the red, you grant a kill, it gives you that overshield. It'd be enough to at least get out of the way and get behind cover so you can actually start your health regeneration. Other good ones: damaging targets with grenades and grant melee energy. If you have a very melee eccentric build, or you're wanting to do something like that, that is very useful. Somewhere here, there's one where you get Devour. Now, Devour is a very, very strong aspect. I just gotta find it here. Oh, you also have Undermining your Void. Grenades weaken targets. Very good support. Essentially what it does, you throw a grenade like a vortex grenade at a boss's feet. Not only are they taking damage from the grenade, but it will weaken them and allow your allies and yourself to deal more damage with your weapons. So here, this is the one you want here. Picking up a Void Breach, which is an elemental, basically an elemental well that is spawned on the ground from defeating an enemy, or picking up an Orb of Power that grants Devour. Now what Devour does, say for example you are getting low on health, you kill an enemy, Orb of Power drops. What will happen is you run over that Orb of Power, instant health. Your Devour starts, you get instant health. You go from, let's say you're at 20 HP, instantly restored health. You're at full health. You start taking damage, you get a kill again while Devour's active, you're back up to full health. It's a very, very good perk for staying alive. I personally don't use it, but it is really good for the new players who are having a hard time surviving. Again, you also have your Ward of Dawn as well, which is also a 6-minute 57 cooldown rate at base cooldown. The Sentinel Shield's a hell of a lot longer. Moving over to armor, again, you want to try to hit 10 resilience. It's like this, it's pretty much mandatory for all characters, not just Titan. But a really good Void. You want Helmet of Saint 14. What Helmet of Saint 14 does, gives you something called Blessings of Light. Starless Night, here's the perk. Targets that enter Ward of Dawn are blinded, while allies that pass through gain a Void Overshield. Guarding with Sentinel Shield blinds nearby targets. Very useful. We used to use this a long time ago. I haven't really seen it too much as of recent, but it's still a very good helmet if you happen to have it in your arsenal. Another one that I've been actually starting to like a lot more is Doomfang Pauldron. I've been using this actually in PvP. Essentially what this does, see if I can get it to read out the perks. Defeating targets with void damage has a chance to grant an escalating bonus to damage with void weapons. Defeating targets with void melee grants super energy. While Sentinel Shield is active, defeating targets with melee recharges shield throw, which extends your super on hitting a target. This is really good if you're running a void gun, for example, Graviton Lance exotic pulse rifle, if you happen to have it. Really good when it comes to that. You're going to get more damage on top of the already insane damage it puts out. There are other very good exotics here. Heart of the Most Light. This one is unfortunately not as good as it was. Basically, you get an empowered recharge rate to all of your abilities. You can stack it up to, I believe, ×2. Its recharge rate is a lot slower than what it was, but it's still very good. Also, I don't have them on me. You can use Lion Rampant to buff your maneuverability and just basically make it a little bit easier to get around. Antea Swords, these are unfortunately going to be getting a nerf here very soon in the Season 22 mid-season update. But Antea Swords are really good for reflecting damage. It's mainly a PvP thing, but it can also come into good use in PvE. So overall, those are the two main subclasses that you want to focus on. The weapons, it does not really matter too much. If you have to work with what you got. If there is guns that I would recommend for each subclass, for solar, I would definitely recommend any gun with incandescent in the energy slot. Incandescent applies scorch to targets upon defeating them, kind of makes a little explosion. In terms of exotics, I recommend the Sunshot. The Sunshot exotic hand cannon is really good this season. Shoot an enemy, they explode, the explosions can chain. Really good for clearing out enemies. For Void, I recommend Graviton Lance or any gun that has destabilizing rounds or anything that can really grant volatile. If you are using, if you're doing Nightfall where you have to work with champions, read what some exotic weapons will do. Like for example, here Malfeasance can stun Unstoppable, so that's covered there. That means I can use something like a fusion rifle here, or any other gun that I might have. Hopefully you guys find this guide very useful. Leave a like, comment down below if there are any new players that might have tips for other players, or if there's veteran players that happen to be watching this, if you have any tips or tricks for new light players trying to find their way through playing this wonderful game that is Destiny 2. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.